chapter 18 and shlok 18 also. So quite an auspicious shloka, number 9. Let's read it. Jnanam jneyam parignyata trivedha karma chodana karanam karma karteti trivedha karma sangraha. Translation: the knower, knowledge, and the object of knowledge. These three motivate action. Even so, the doer, the organs, and activity, these are the three constituents of action. Today's shloka is quite interesting. It's talking about two things. One is what prompts us to act, and second, what is the mechanism of the action. Up till now, Bhagwan has talked quite often about actions. Chapter 3, 4, 5, even in the second adhyaya. So let us see up till now, what have we understood about action? And after so much of explaining earlier also about actions, why Bhagwan is once again in the very last adhyaya, 18th adhyaya, he's coming back to the topic of action. So there must be something really important for us to get over here. So the first understanding that we have of action is that all actions are happening in the realm of matter, Prakriti, all right? So there's Prakriti and Purush that we have talked about earlier. Purush is Atma, the true I, and Prakriti is the body, mind, and intellect. So action is not happening at the level of Purush or the real I. All action is happening in the realm of Prakriti or matter. Secondly, we learned very earlier on in Bhagavad Gita that actions are compulsory. You cannot even survive without an action. So there's no question about not doing anything, because even in the phrase not doing, doing comes in. So that's the second understanding. The third understanding is that although action is compulsory, the problem is that if you don't do actions intelligently, they bind us to the cycle of life and death. They bind us to sansar. They delay our attainment of eternal bliss. So this is like a catch-22. Actions are compulsory, but actions give us karma. Karma binds us to sansar, or repeated lives and repeated deaths. So we have to learn the art of doing actions without getting bound by them. And that is the fourth understanding, that solution of how to do actions comes in Karma Yoga, which we have talked about absolutely to the very core. And if you do all the steps of Karma Yoga, that is, do your actions without Karta Bhav, Bhokta Bhav, dedicating your actions to the Supreme, doing your 100%, not trying to avoid or shun your karma because you will get karma. If you do all your actions in that way, actions will not be binding you. Fifth, recently, just a couple of Thursdays back, we learned that action is a very complex phenomenon. It's not just like what you see right now, a movement of the body or the movement of the eye. It's not just a movement. It happens at 3 levels: physical level, speech, as well as the mind. And karma is incurred at all these 3 levels. So this is what we have already learned about action. What does this shloka go further, deeper into the analysis of an action? So now Bhagwan says, before an action happens, it needs to be induced. Before an action happens, there has to be a force that motivates the action to occur, right? So that's the first point in this shloka, that an action needs a force for it to be motivated and put into practice. For an action to happen, an actor has to be there. There has to be a doer of the action. Common sense, all right? And action involves knowledge of the action. If you don't have knowledge, then you cannot do the action. So it is very important for us to clearly understand the mechanism or the entire process of an action, because action can bind us. And here we are all in search of liberation. So the Bhagwan has put this beautiful Vedantic teaching for us very succinctly in one shloka. Two new concepts are being introduced in this shloka. What are they? Karma chodana. See, you can see it is the last word in the first line of this shloka. And the second concept is karma sangraha, the last word of the shloka. Karma chodana, karma sangraha. Karma chodana means that which induces an action, that which motivates the action, the force which makes you act. And karma sangraha are the constituents of an action. And karma chodana and karma sangraha, two concepts, each of them have got three elements. Each of them have got three elements. So in this shloka, we're talking about 6 different components or elements of an action. Let's go to karma chodana first. That which induces an action, that force within us that drives us to act. What are the 3 elements of karma chodana? The first thing that needs to be there for an action to happen is jnanam, knowledge. Knowledge of what has to be done. Normally, when we talk of gyan, we immediately think of spiritual knowledge. But here in this shloka, jnanam indicates all actions, generally, all knowledge. It's not action, all knowledge. So not just spiritual knowledge, it could be spiritual knowledge also. But here it is talking about all knowledge, knowledge of everything. This knowledge is an impetus for us to act. This knowledge is a driving force that makes us act. And it provides an understanding of what we need to be doing. See, you have to have knowledge about something. Then only that knowledge will motivate a person to act. A good example could be that if you know that there is a sale going on in a shop or on Amazon, the knowledge of that sale will motivate you to take an action, right? The action will be go there and buy something. So you have to have knowledge first. Jnanam. It could be spiritual knowledge also, that yes, there is something called moksha, there is something called, process of purification, and that knowledge, just by having it, it will make you do something, take an action, go to satsang, come on to Zoom, listen to some shloka being explained. So that driving force is knowledge of something. Now, the second component is, what is that something that you are having knowledge of, right? Knowledge is there, but what is that thing, the object of which you have knowledge? So that is called gyeyam. Gyeyam is the object, that which is knowable. So we're not talking about object being Atma only. Could be Atma, but it could be any object in Sansar, any Vishay, any situation, any person. So the first thing is you should have knowledge. Then the second part is you have to have knowledge of something, some object. And then the third component is called parignyata. Parignyata is the person who is knowing. Who is knowing? There should be somebody called the knower. So generally, who is knowing is the limited self, the ego, the BMI, who is knowing history, geography, sail over here, car model, this clothes, whatever. Okay. So what are the three forces that induce an action? Jnanam, knowledge. Gyayam, the object of the knowledge. Parigyata, the one who is seeking the knowledge, the knower. Got that? These three elements have to be there. All three have to be there for an action to be motivated, for an action to be induced. If you don't have knowledge about anything, you'll not be acting on it. And to have knowledge, you have to have knowledge of an object. And a person has to be there to have the knowledge. So all three, if even one of them is not there, you will not be motivated to act that particular action. Okay? This is called Gyan Triputi. Gyan Triputi, because they are Jnanam, Gyayam, Parigyata. So this is the first line of the shloka, Jnanam, Gyayam, Parigyata, Trividha, threefold, Karma Chodana, threefold inducers of action. Got that? So let's say I want to drink some water. So first I will have to know that I want to drink some water, right? If I don't know that, then the action of drinking water will not happen. What will be that object which I will be aware of? My thirst. I will be aware of my thirst. That will be the object of which I have knowledge. I have knowledge of my thirst. And who will be the parigyata? Me only, my limited self, right? So all these three things, imagine, we just pick up a glass and drink water. We just pick up a pen and write. But there is so much going on before this very action happens, which is motivating us to act. And the beautiful part is that an action may be happening outdoors, I mean, outwards, externally. But this process, this Gyan Triputi, is a purely internal process. Knowledge, object which is in my mind, knowing it, and the person who is knowing. This is all an internal process. No action has happened so far, right? So only one force has come forward, which is inducing me to act. That is your Gyan Triputi. So what happens now? I've been inspired to act. I've been motivated to act. I've been induced to act. I have the knowledge. I have the object in my mind. And I'm also engaged. I'm also motivated. So the second set of Triputi will come into play. The second set is there in the second line of the shloka. What is that line? Karanam, karma, karteti, trividha, karma, sangraha. Karma Triputi. This is the Karma Triputi. The earlier one was the Gyan Triputi. Gyan Triputi motivates Karma Triputi. Again, Triputi means three elements. After the action has been motivated, induced, now the actual action has to happen. And the three elements come into play. For an action to happen, what is the first thing that has to be there naturally? The doer of the action, right? Somebody has to do the action. So that is called karta. Karta is the performer or the doer of the action. And this action, first understanding was all action happens in the realm of Prakriti. So the doer of the action is the limited self, the BMI. Whether it is happening at the physical level, the body. If it is happening at the level of speech, then it is karma indriya. If it is happening at the level of mind, it is manomay kosh or mental level. So mental level, karma indriya, body level, these are all prakriti, right? So the performer of the action is the BMI or the limited self. Clear? Now, they will have to use some instruments. This limited self is the ego, the false notion of self, the illusory self will need some instruments, like I just mentioned. So instruments, like I mentioned, all the instruments, categorize them into external instruments and internal instruments. So your Gyan Indriya, with which you'll do the action of seeing, smelling, tasting, hearing, touching, and the karma indriya, your hands, your legs, etc. So these are my external instruments. Gyan indriya, karma indriya. Internal instruments, man, buddhi, chit, ahankar, antakaran. So the karta, the notion of self, uses all these instruments. They are called karanam. The karta uses karanam. For what? Karma, to do the action. So the third part of the triputi is called karma, because this is a karma triputi. It is the action through which the object that you had thought of is going to be obtained. Understood? So there is a Gyan Triputi, which is motivating the action. There's a Karma Triputi, which is actually doing the action. Again, all the three elements have to be there for an action to take place. Karta, Karanam, and Karma. Notice once again, the self is not included in the action. This is purely in the realm of Prakriti. Now, we also know that action incurs karma, right? So this karma sangraha can be interpreted in two ways. One is, as we have said, what are the constituents of an action? What are the constituents of an action? Karta, karanam, and karma. These are the constituents of an action. But karma sangraha can also mean accumulation of actions. Accumulation of actions means accumulation of karma, because an action is never over till the karma has been experienced. I may think that the action of lifting this thing is over once I put it down, but it is not over till the fruit of the action has also been delivered. So, who is getting this karma of the action? Is it the karta? Is it the karanam? Or is it the karma? This is interesting. So obviously, karma is earned by the karta, by the doer, by the performer of the action. Why? Because of the karta bhav, the notion of I am doing. So the minute you have the notion that I am doing this, you have already sent your application for karma to be accrued to you. If there is no doership while doing an action, you don't have that notion, I am doing, I have done, I will do, then no karma will come to you. Okay? Because if you have not done, then you will not receive the fruit of the action. Who will receive the fruit of the action? The BMI, not the I. Correct? Why will the karanam not get the karma? Why will the instruments of action not get the karma? Because the instruments of action are being used according to the desire of the doer. So it is the doer who is responsible, not the instruments. And the same logic applies to karma also. Why will the action not get any karma? Because the action is also being done according to the desire of the karta, the doer. Therefore, instruments of action, and the action itself is not attracting karma. They are not the direct cause of karma. The direct cause of karma is the notion of doership, karta bhav. I am doing, I have done, I do this, I do that, I am the one who looks after everyone. All these notions that we have, this is accumulating action, karma sangraha, or you can say this is accumulating karma. So all we have to do is what? Change our attitude with which we do our work. If there is no attitude of I am doing, then there is no accumulation of karma. Simple. Two triputis are there. Gyan triputi, karma triputi. Gyan triputi, inducing the action. Karma triputi, carrying out the action. Gyan triputi is gyan, geyam, parigyata. Karma triputi is karta, karanam, karma. All this karta is to be looked at more carefully while doing actions. Okay. So let's see how these 6 elements follow each other. First and foremost, one object should be there. So geyam should be there, something. And jnanam should be there of the geyam. Sale has to be there, and knowledge of the sale has to be there. Got that? So that makes 2 elements. Geyam, jnanam. Once the object is there and you have the knowledge of that object, then the karta comes into play. The karta is this illusory notion of I, the false I, the limited self, who says, I must do this, I must do that, I do this, I'll do that. He has the object, he has the knowledge, and he decides, I will do the action. When he decides to do the action, karta will think of doing the action. He will need karanam. He will need the instruments of the action. So the illusory doer gives a command to the organs of action. Go, carry out this action. Go to the sale. Buy this. Drink water. Go to sleep. Come to satsang. Don't come to satsang. Whatever. And then obviously the action, karma will happen. So that takes 5. Geyam, jnanam, karta, karanam, karma. Action has happened, but it is not over. One more has to come in, the parigyata. Who is the parigyata? The parigyata is the experiencer of the action, the knower of that object. The object has been experienced by the senses, and as soon as that object has been experienced by the senses, one new illusory modification happens in the mind. One new entity is created, and that is the bhokta. The bhokta, the karta was there. Now the bhokta has happened. He is experiencing the object. He is having that experience, and he's saying this experience is good, this experience is bad. And having experienced it, what he's doing is he's receiving the fruit of the action. Until he receives the fruit of the action, he has to keep taking birth again and again, because he may or may not get the fruit of the action immediately. And therefore, all this is a source of bondage. So these two triputis, these 6 elements, are what we need to analyze, because we are doing actions all the time. Our entire life is one action after the other, sometimes multitasking actions also, right? So what are we going to be aware of, knowing that there are 2 triputis at work continuously every second of our day, except when we are in deep sleep? So what should we be aware of? First, be aware of your actions, which is we did earlier. Is it happening at physical level? Obvious. Is it happening at speech level? Less obvious, because it's not always we associate action with speech. And at the mental level, most obtuse, we are not even aware that an action is happening over there. So once again, I already told you we should be doing this earlier, but once again, we should continue that awareness of where my action is happening. Now, second, you know the action is happening. Can you understand what is motivating the action? Take a pause. Take a pause between jnanam, gyayam, before the karta is pushing you to do the, engage the karanam to do the karma. Pause. Pause and think, what is motivating this action? What is that driving force inside me that is motivating this action? And then become aware as you do the action, are you doing it with karta bhav? And are you experiencing it also with bhokta bhav? Who is doing the action? What is this notion of doership? How am I engaging in the world? These are things we need to become aware of. And finally, once you have invited the fruit of action by the notion of doership, know that it is a karma which is leading to bondage. Therefore, this introspection is of paramount importance to us. Whether we attain eternal bliss or not depends on how we are doing our actions, because everything we do in our waking time is an action which has got the propensity, or which has got the, which can possibly bind us to sansar. So lots of important things to think about till the next Thursday, chapter 18 and shloka 18. I think Bhagwan purposely chose this particular shlok to give us this beautiful knowledge. Okay. A couple of announcements. Tomorrow, Bhakti will only be at the center. It will not be on Zoom. Okay. Oh. 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 Asato ma satgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityurma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Chidarpanam. Jai Gurudev.